Hi, I'm Stephen Hatt from Archery Supplies, and today I want to talk about working in an archery shop. Now, a lot of you are probably archers, and you're probably watching this and think this is a dream job to work in an archery shop. So I kind of want to go through some of the jobs that we have here. I want to talk about working in an archery shop, what it's like, because you probably think it's like this and it's actually like that. So the first thing I'm going to say, in whatever role you're in whatever job you are in, you want to basically excel. You want to do the best you can and promote upwards. So I'm going to go back to one of my old roles. I was director of hospitals for Australia, and basically I knew nothing about hospitals, but through the job I basically learnt through the job. My job wasn't about hospitals, my job was about something else, but through there I just learnt, and basically eventually I got that position. So the position evolved into me, so to speak. The position wasn't there before I was there. So the same thing applies to an archery shop. If you work in an archery shop, what you want to do is learn as much as you can. You want to do as much as you can and basically build as much as you can. And when I'm saying all this, if I'm paying $200 a day for a wage, you need to generate $200 a day at least for your boss. Or if you own the archery shop and you're paying staff $200 a day, they need to generate $200 a day for you, otherwise you're going backwards. And that's one of the huge things where you go from small to large. You need to cover that. So that's the first thing. The other thing is, it's not all about selling. So it's not about taking orders, these are all orders, and pumping them out. And yes, that's important, but there's much more to it. So that's what I want to talk about. So some of the jobs in an archery shop, one of the most important things is cleaning. And you're going to say, well, that's boring. And yes, it is boring. And guess what? No one wants to do it. So let's say I employ 10 staff. And you're going to say, how many staff do you have in your store? I have a whole bunch of staff. Most people don't want to do it. So if you can find someone in your store who is happy to do those jobs, you are going to value them to such a degree because no one else wants to do it. So just bear that in mind. If you're working in a shop, the boss is never going to say, don't ever clean that toilet. Don't ever clean the kitchen. Don't ever wash up those coffee cups. Because before, when I used to make my staff coffees, but then I was making coffees, I was cleaning the coffee cups, and I'm like, so I don't do that now. So if you're just cleaning up, you are going to be valued above other staff. So, and I'm just going to sort of show you some of the workwear, some of the workplace here, and so you can see what I'm talking about. So just here, these are boxes that have come in or stock. Now, if you're packing that stuff away, that's going to be highly valued. So behind this desk here, so I don't know what any of this stuff is behind this desk. And you're going to say, well, it's your business. Yeah, but this is not my work area. That's not where I work. So now the person who works there, may know what that stuff is, or maybe he doesn't know what that stuff is because someone else has left it there. So as a result, it kind of gets lost, so to speak. So I've had people ring up and say, hi, can you put this bow to the side for me? And then a person puts the bow to the side and no one knows it's there. So when the person actually orders the bow, no one knows where it is. Huge problem. So cleaning up the shop is a huge thing. And now I'm just going to walk down my benches here and show you how bad my shop is. And probably my dad had a rule that you weren't allowed to leave until the shop is clean, and basically 15 minutes before close the staff had to make the shop immaculate before they leave. So next day coming to work, the shop is clean. So I'm just going to show you what I mean. So down here, these are my benches. And you can see my benches have got lined up stuff on them. Now, a lot of them are orders, and they might be waiting for something. I'm not sure what that's waiting for. Might be waiting for a customer to get back in that particular case, I think we had the camo side and he ordered black, so they'd be waiting for the customer to get back. So, but what it does, it creates mess and no one knows about it. But then if you go where we're building bows today, so down here, so we have areas where we build bows, and this is one of the bow building areas. You can see the bench is a bit of a mess. Now, we closed at 12, and at 12:30 there were still people here, and so the bench didn't get cleaned up. It's very important the bench is cleaned up. So, and the bench next to it is a second bench where we build bows, and basically that was left with the cardboard there as the staff went. So we're going to go to another desk. Now this is another one of my staff's desks where they work. Now they probably know what all this stuff is here. I've got no idea. So given Monday morning, they're probably like, yes, I know what's going on, but it's a huge issue cleaning up, is what I want to say. Dusting bows, like, so with all these bows on the wall, all the stock, if you get dust on it, it doesn't look as good and it's harder to sell. So cleaning up, cleaning the floors is such an important thing, and it's greatly overlooked as far as people are concerned. But for me, number one thing. So when people say, can I work in your store? What I think, I'm like, are you going to clean up or make more mess for me? Because I need someone to make my life easier. And your first job in whichever career you do is to make your boss's life easier. Because if you can make his life easier, you'll be more valued in the chain of people that you have around you. And people go, well, that's us, whatever. Do you know what? It's just basically progressing up the chain, because if you can do what your boss can do, when your boss leaves, and your boss probably wants to leave, you can take over that role. So very important. Now I'm just going to go to this wall here. Hopefully we can see it. So on Friday, basically I had a staff member putting all this stock up here. That was an entire day's work, just putting that stock on that wall. So hanging stock and basically packing stock away is a major function. I want to show you some more. Now when bows come in, we just had a big container shipment in, and when they come in a box, and inside the box there's other boxes, and this is what the box looks like. You can see there's no markings on it. This is very hard to sell a blank box. So what we do is we mark what's on the box. I'm going to show you how we do that. And then it's very important it's all displayed neatly, so when someone asks for something, you can find it. This is going to get back to the cleaning proposition. And you're going to say, why are you harping on this? This is really boring. Because I'm going to tell you, if you're working in an archery shop, your boss is going to value this above all else. That you clean up after yourself, and even if you clean other people's mess, you'll be highly regarded in the workplace. So right here, I've got a whole bunch of recurve bows, and these used to all be sorted. And what happened is someone's gone down the bottom here to get out the red unison, and all the rest are kind of being messed up. So if someone went through and cleaned that, highly valued. Now I'm going to show you what my staff did today. So I'm upstairs. So I'm upstairs here. Now these are all the F158s. This is a new recurve bow in, and they've been sorted by poundage. These are 40s, 38s, 36, 32s, and these are all red. So someone's written on there that. Now I value that. It's a skill to sort stuff. Anyone who's worked in retail at a high level, as far as in managing stuff, sorting stuff, is so valued, and learning that skill, because when you go to find the bow, do you have a yellow 38-pound bow? Yes, I do. It's just there. You need to put your finger on it, because if someone rings up and wants, or a customer wants, and you can't find it, complete waste of time. So I'm just going to show you this. These are all F168s. This whole bay here, these were all put up today. It is so valuable to have someone who can pack away stock, store it, and you might go, well, that's a store roll. What's it called? A storeman's role? Look, I think you don't want to be in a role where you just get pigeoned as someone who packs away stock. You want to learn different skills. You want to be able to put this away when stock comes in. In the background, it's about 2 o'clock on a Saturday. People go, you don't answer your phone. My phones do not stop. I have literally a person on the phone all the time. So it's closed now and it's 2 o'clock Saturday and my phone's still ringing. Literally, I have a person on the phone all the time. So I'm paying $50,000 a year for someone to answer the phone continuously. I have a person answering emails pretty much continuously. So we have probably, I'm going to guess, about 200 emails a day come in. I have about 200 questions a day come in on the website. And you're going to say, well, that's all good business. And yes, it is, but it all gets back to profit. Because when you're paying 50,000 here, 50,000 there, you've got to have income coming in to pay it. And archery is a low margin industry. So wholesale is around 10%, retail's around 20%. So you're going, oh, you've told us what your profit margin is. Look, there's not a lot of money in it, which is why there's generally not a lot of archery stores. And especially there's not a lot of archery stores where the cost of running an archery store is higher. So in capital cities, you generally won't find a lot of archery shops, especially in America, because the cost of rent is prohibitive. It stops the stores opening up because the margins are low. In fact, many of your big archery stores are in remote areas. Like if you look at where Lancaster is in America, it's a remote country town. The cost of the building would have been cheap. The cost of the land would have been cheap. The cost of hiring the staff would be cheaper. It's not in the expensive big cities where the cost of a warehouse is more expensive. They tend to be cheaper areas. So we've got answering the phone, we've got answering questions on email, we've got packing stuff away, we've got cleaning, the website. Putting stuff on the website and understanding how a website works is very important. The other thing which is important is ordering stock. So when you're down on stock, knowing what you're out of, ordering stock, very important. And liaising with the suppliers to get the stock in, very important. Bow repairs, as far as fixing bows. So in one day in my shop, I had 5 people come in, one after the other, all had blown up their bows. And the 5th guy comes in and he's like, I've just blown up my bow. I was like, the 5th one, 2 days in a row. And I've got some new staff in. They're like, we didn't know so many people blow up their bows. So many people blow up their bows. They shoot without arrows. They derail the bows. So bow repairs are very important. And we're going to run downstairs. Now, this is my packaging area. This is where all the bows and packages get packed. I've got shrink wrap. I've got packing here. I used to have a person work full-time for me. I've had a few people work full-time just packing orders in the past. They check the order to make sure whoever's pulled the order is basically putting the right stuff in. So I used to have a person full-time just packing. Now the area behind me is the string making jig. Literally you can have a full-time job just making strings. And I have a guy pretty much works full-time just making strings. Then you're probably thinking, we haven't even mentioned sales yet. So you've got internet sales and you've got walk-in sales. Now, depending on the salesperson, the difference between one salesperson and another salesperson is massive in how much they can sell. And it could be their approach, it could be how much they talk, it could be how thorough they are. Like I take a fair bit of time to sell a bow because I set it all up exactly how I'd have it. I tie the knocking points in, I tie the peep sight in, I show the person how to shoot. From the time you walk in here, if you know what bow you're at, you're looking for me to sell you a bow about an hour and a half because I show you how to shoot, I set up the bow. So when people go, oh, you're making lots of money. Well, on a $200 bow, I've made 20%, so that's about $440. It's taking me an hour and a half to sell that bow to you. And then I've got to give you a lifetime warranty on that product. So in Australia, our wages are around $30 an hour. So if it takes me an hour and a half to sell you a bow, it's cost me $45 to sell you the bow, and I've made $40 on it. So I've lost $5. And that's not including overheads of having the building and all the other stuff. And that's given the person's coming to buy a boat. So basically, you've got to be quicker, is what I'm trying to hint at. So all up, if you're working in an archery shop, you've got also, like I obviously do videos online. You've got Facebook. You can do posts to say, look, here's a new product. Tell people about a new product. You can do flyers. My dad used to do flyers to all the clubs around Australia when he had his business with prices, specials. You've got to close out items. So if you've got old stock, you want to close it out, because dead money is just useless money. It's no use having a product sit on the shelf and clear out. So I suppose my summary of working in an archery shop, you should never, ever be sitting on your ass on your phone. If you're on your phone, sitting on your ass, shooting your own bow, you're doing something wrong, because there is so much work to do. You can be repricing items. And when I say repricing, you can go and check what other people sell the items for and then reprice all your items. There's always new stock coming in. Sorry, my throat. There's always work to do, whether it's cleaning, pricing, putting tags on items, updating your prices. Always work to do. Now, in my dad's shop, when my dad was alive, when he had quiet times, he was fletching arrows, because you make money when you fletch arrows. He was making bowstrings, so he'd be making bowstrings not for people but for stock. So he'd make up, recurve strings, 68 inches, 70 inch, and just have bulk stock in his quiet time. So he was making money when he was quiet. You could be setting bow kits up, so when a person walks in, the bow's ready to go. There's always work to do. So there's never an excuse to be sitting down, not working, if you're working in an archery shop. And I'm going to say that pretty much applies to any job you're in. I'm going to go back to my health job, which is where I started this video. When I started in the Department of Health, my job was to produce a report, which was some numbers in a spreadsheet once a year. That was my job. It took me about 2 months to do it. I got that faster, so I could knock it out in about 2 weeks. So for 48 weeks of the year, I had nothing to do. It took the guy before me 52 weeks a year to produce that report. I could do it in a couple of weeks. So from that, basically, I asked for more responsibility. I asked for more things, so I learnt more roles. If you're working in an archery shop, learn about as much stock as you can, because people walking through the door are probably going to know more than you know, because they've researched what they're interested in before they've walked into the shop. And it's more than reasonable that you don't know and they do know about the product they're interested in, because you have so many products in your store to know about it. It's just not possible to know most of the time. So if you're working in an archery shop, learn. So, learn to shoot recurve, learn to shoot compound, learn about the compound, learn about longbows, learn about this, learn. You should always be learning. It doesn't matter if you're working on IT, working in Coles, learn, because the more you learn, the more valuable you're going to be. And always work. That's my thing. So yeah, I think that's about it. So summary, cleaning, so valuable. Organizing stuff. If you see danger on the floor, pick it up. And always try and learn more. So the more you learn, the more valuable you are. And at the end of the day, if you can say to your boss, well, actually, I'm more valuable than what you're paying me, pay me more, then that's something they've got to look at. So I'd always be happy for someone to say, well, look, I'm valuable because this is how much I'm selling for you a day. Or actually, I can manage this for you so I can have a holiday. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years and I don't know if I've ever had a holiday. So, yeah, and I work most nights. So I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. I hope that's been useful for getting a job. And I'm going to say also, if you're interested in working in an archery shop, I've had a bunch of people do work experiences for me in the archery shop. Most of them end up with jobs after it, because after you've done a week's work, you've got skills, you've learned stuff, you've learned to make strings, you've learned to do stuff, you've learned about bows. Now you're valuable. So your value's gone up. And basically I've learned about you, you've learned about me. It didn't cost me. The risk was down on my side because I know what you're like. I know if I'm going to have trouble employing you. I know if you're going to be lazy, I'm going to have to be whipping you all the time because I don't want to be whipping people to work. So if you can, always, I employed one guy a few years ago, and he said to me, look, I'll work for you for a week just to learn some skills. He was out of work at the time. I said, sure. And he was actually a really good worker. So after he worked for a week, I think I actually paid him for that week because he was a good worker. And then after that, he worked for me, I think for about 2 years, 2 to 3 years he worked for me. And then he went back to his job in construction after that because it paid more. I just couldn't pay as much as construction pays. Once again, it gets back to that whole value thing. If you could show me that you earn as much in construction as much in archery as you do in construction, you could, but it's very hard to do it. Like I said, if you sell a $200 bow, it takes an hour and a half to do it. It's hard. There are people who could do it. My dad was an amazing salesperson. He could sell so much so quickly. It was amazing. I'm slower. Anyway, I'm Stephen Hand. Enjoy your archery, and I hope that's been useful for you. If you are interested in getting a job in archery or in anything, just go and ask the people and say, look, do you mind if I do some work experience? Show people what you know, and if you're valuable, you'll probably get yourself a job. I'm going to say I have never fired anyone who worked hard. So always work hard. I mean, I've got a guy who works in here Saturdays. He's such a hard worker. Just comes in, cleans up. I mean, he just works the whole time. It's great. Thanks for watching, and stay safe. Thanks. Bye.